Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Welcome back to another live show. And if you're watching this at approximately 9 p.m. New York City time, that's right, this is a live show. So watch and comment live, and I have the opportunity to respond face on video. As always, anything is fair game. All that I ask is that we keep it appropriate for all age groups. This is a channel that's a channel for everyone. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. 2018 is going to be very exciting, and I hope that everyone out there, everybody that's watching this, and if you're not watching this live, if you're watching the previously recorded version on a later date, I hope that you had a good New Year's resolution, and I hope that your New Year's resolution comes true. So eat a lot of black-eyed peas and just good food, and and have a lucky and very prosperous 2018 and beyond. So with that being said, I know a lot of people, nothing like New Year's Eve, because you get to see the ball drop, and they do it in all different places. Here in New York, they do it in other big cities throughout the world. But it's out of best practice. Sometimes I think it's best, and if you're watching this, you may not be out at a party, you may not be out anywhere, you may just be taking it easy, and I think sometimes it's best, especially on New Year's Eve, to just kind of lay low and stay out of the congestion, because anytime there's a lot of crowds, there's anywhere, you may just be taking it easy. Whoa. I think sometimes it's best. I hit my mute button. Just kind of lay low. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. If you got some feedback, my audio and my microphone just started going crazy. But yeah, the main thing is, if you're going out to party or whatever, get a driver, don't drive. Horrible time of the year to be out on the roadways. So, that being said, hope you're responsible. And if you're watching this channel, I'm assuming that you may be a responsible person, because, God, it's cold. It is cold out here. But yeah, 2017's been great. And without getting into a lot of details, feel free to share what you want to share. But do you want to share your New Year's resolution with the world here on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel? Or do you feel that sharing a New Year's resolution is bad luck or bad karma? What do you think? Or do you even have a New Year's resolution? Do you think it's a waste of time? Do you think it's stupid to have a New Year's resolution? Have you had a New Year's resolution in the past? And if so, did it come true? Was it completely true, or was it partially true? Hey Greg, welcome aboard, man. Welcome aboard. If y'all are tuning in, it's currently about 9:01 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States of America. So, yeah, one of the best places to be for New Year's Eve. Drinking my quality H2O. One of my goals for 2018, obviously, is to continue to get ripped back up and get back in peak physical condition. 2017 was a year that I got a lot less fat, so that was a positive, because I still ate a lot and drank when I wanted to, but I did a lot of working out. So this next year I'm going to do a lot of even a lot more H2O. Limit the carbonated beverage intake to maybe a 12-ounce can per day, because that's what will really get you. If you're into dieting, or maybe you've never been involved with dieting, but you've heard other people talk about it. It doesn't matter how much you exercise, how healthy your diet is. If you consume a lot of sodas, that can be a Coke, a Pepsi, whatever. And I love those things. I don't drink coffee, so I'll just drink a Coke, to get the day going. But if you drink a lot of that, you can gain a lot of weight. And I know a lot of people, they've claimed that they've simply cut out drinking those carbonated drinks, and they've lost about 25 pounds. So everybody is different, but I've heard a lot of people say that. So for that reason, I'm really limiting how much soda I consume, and I'm going to limit it in 2018 to 12 ounces or less per day. So that's 1 can of soda. I know that's a small step, but these diets. A lot of people get irritated with the diet because they feel like they got to eat a certain thing, and then typically diets are more expensive. If you're buying the pre-made meals, they're typically a lot more expensive. But if you're following some sort of dietary plan rather, the ingredients to create those meals are typically more expensive than just standard ingredients. But it's easy to cook your own food and not have to go after these crazy diets that cost a ton of money. So, in short, something as simple as just grilling a lot of chicken. Grilled chicken, in my opinion, is very healthy. Again, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just stating what I've learned for myself. And everybody is different. Everybody's body is different. So what works for me may or may not work for you. And I'm still fat, but again, I'm less fat. So what I'm doing for me is working. There's Sean Connery, the big Maine Coon cat. He came on. What do you think about New York City? He said he doesn't like all the crowd. The crowd is everywhere. He is irritated by that. But yeah, New Year's Eve. So it's the last day of the year. And, New Year's Eve, a ball drops, and it signifies the end of the year and the beginning of the next year. So what are y'all most excited about for 2018? Hey, Sean Connery, you can come on up. He said he'll come up here when he feels, whoa. He said he's not going to miss the the New Year's Eve special live show. And a lot of people have claimed, they're like, man, Sean Connery is fake. There's no way a cat is that enormous. But he is. He is extremely big. Whoa. Oh, ow. A Southern Oregon cat mom says, Happy New Year to you and the IrixGuy's family. Happy New Year to you too. Greg says, can you talk about your workflow with Mavic and Final Cut Pro 10? Looking at LUT profiles people use. Final Cut Pro 10.4. Yeah, Final Cut Pro 10.4, that's the version that I'm on, and it's obviously at the time of hosting this live show, it's the most current version of Final Cut Pro 10, and it also has VR, also known as spherical, or 360-degree video editing capabilities. Now, as far as Mavic, and this is the same workflow that I use with Mavic or my Phantom 4, and I'll go into detail here in a second. Hold on, Podman says, Happy New Year, IrixGuy. Sugar is poison worse than fat, but I'm sure you know that 2018 is going to be the best drone for you yet. No doubt. No doubt. Well said. Welcome aboard, everyone. Greg, Podman, Southern Oregon Cat Mom. We got tons of people. And there's tons of people out there. I'm looking at the studio monitor over there. There's tons of people that haven't even commented yet, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to talk. It's perfectly acceptable to attend a live show and not say anything. That's fine. But you're more than welcome to say stuff. And that's what sets this live show apart from the stuff you flip on a popular television network and you can't really interact. This is interactive. So, workflow for Final Cut Pro 10. And again, this is applicable for my my Mavic Pro and also my Phantom 4. Actually, it goes back Phantom 4 Pro, Phantom 4 Pro, Phantom 4, Phantom 3 Pro. This is the workflow that I use for 4K. So, surprisingly enough, on all of those drones, I've used 4K 30, with the exception of the Phantom 4 Pro where I use 4K 60. But I use auto mode. And in the past, I've used neutral density filters, and I've also used CPL, circular polarizer filters. If you're not familiar with CPL, they can increase the color saturation of a video. And at a high level, the way to explain color saturation is that if you look at an image, let's say it's got a lot of different colors in it, red, orange, yellow, whatever, green. But if it's not well saturated, those colors, looking at it, the different colors aren't going to be as noticeable. But if you increase the saturation, you can clearly see the difference between orange, yellow, red, green. It makes all the colors look more separated, more saturated. So I used the CPL filters in the past, but then I decided, you know what, Final Cut Pro 10, I can use the color correction feature within Final Cut Pro 10, and I can do actually better with that than I did with using a physical CPL filter, also known as polarizer, attached to the drone camera's lens. So with that being said, that's part of my workflow. When I go in, I'll import the 4K 30 video, and surprisingly enough, for Phantom 3 Pro, Phantom 4, and Mavic Pro, I used the auto mode. Those DJI cameras in auto mode were perfectly acceptable for me. Now obviously with my Sony Alpha cameras not attached to drones, I use manual mode for those to get the optimal results. But yeah, with the drones, I just use auto mode, and then I would run it through Final Cut Pro 10, and I would use the color adjustment, color correction, I think is what they call it. I would adjust the saturation levels. After I did that and everything looked like it wanted to, I would send it out to Compressor. Now, obviously, Compressor is a separate piece of software, at least at the time of saying this it is. So I would send it out to Final Cut Pro 10. I would then send it to Compressor, and I would export using a particular setting for 4K. And what I'm looking for now, I've actually got a blog post where I address this, and I want to share this with everyone, because I go through step by step what I do for, okay, it's not on, and I need to add this to my IrixGuy's site. If you haven't noticed what I've done, I've got several sites, and hold on just a second here. I've got several sites, but what I've been trying to do recently for the sake of my viewers is consolidate and put all content on IrixGuy.com, because it's, if you didn't know where to look, it would make it more confusing if you had to go to some other sites. So one of my other sites is snagbear.com, and the link I'm about to share, let's see here. This link right here details blow by blow how I do video edits. So if you check out that link on my Snagbear website, you'll see all the equipment that I use for editing videos, and then you'll see my Final Cut Pro 10 4K video export tutorial. And keep in mind, if you didn't want to use 4K, you could follow that same procedure, but instead of selecting the 4K option that I selected within Compressor, you could select the 1080p option instead. You know, that's personal preference. So, you know, however you feel is best to, whichever format you choose to use for your videos, that would dictate which step you would take. But, wow, I mean, this is amazing that we have. I'm looking at the at the number of live viewers here. I mean, this is nuts. Let me see here. I've got to get back to my dashboard there. Sorry, I was in another window. Bruno says, "Hi, Irix. Just passing to wish a happy New Year to you, bro. Huge hug. Happy New Year to you too, man. And 2018. I hope 2018 is going to be as awesome for you as it's going to be for IrixGuy's Adventure Channel." And that's the other thing. Sean Connery, the enormous Maine Coon cat, 2017. He's really gotten into the spotlight. He's had all kinds of people contact him by way of social media. So he's not just one of the cats on YouTube with over 2 million video views for one video. That's right, Sean Connery has one video that has over 2 million video views. Actually, it's about 2.1 million video views now. So he hasn't allowed fame to discourage him from continuing to produce more content. So in 2018, Sean Connery is going to be more than full throttle. Sean Connery, you know, he obviously brings to us Maine Coon Mondays, hashtag Maine Coon Mondays, but he's going to bring a lot more. And it's just, you know, it's really exciting. It's really exciting to see the way that that YouTube has evolved during 2017. A lot of people, there were some aspects of YouTube that people thought were less than desirable, but there's a lot of improvements that have been made to YouTube as well. And I think the quality and ease of use of the live streaming capabilities is really yeah, I mean, it's really improved. I mean, if you've ever live streamed with YouTube, I think it's the most stable it's ever been. Now, granted, I'm using Wirecast. It'd be really cool if YouTube, because they had Hangouts on air for a while, but it would be really cool if they developed a YouTube application that would provide the functionality of something like Wirecast. I mean, Wirecast is awesome, and I wouldn't want to use anything else. But you know, it'd be cool if YouTube offered a free product that would do the same, because that cost me a few $100 to get Wirecast, and I'm glad. I mean, every penny was well worth it. But I mean, still, it's a shame I had to do that to get all the functionality that I have. Greg says, use any LUT profiles with Final Cut Pro 10. Well, obviously my Sony Alpha, my A7R2, it supports the S-Log and was it S-Log 2 or whatever. And I've messed with it, but I never really. Here's how I feel about it, and a lot of people have different opinions. But when I'm doing still photos, I always do JPEG plus RAW. And the value of that is that when I do a still photo, I can take that raw image, the raw file, and I can import it into a program that I use called Lightroom CC, and I can make a somewhat great or maybe even decent still photo into something that looks exceptional. And that's why I use JPEG plus RAW for still photos. Now, LUTs are, to my knowledge, the equivalent for video. You know, if you want to get the raw video so that you can go in post-production and really color grade and make that raw video look even better. I think it's more of a time thing for me, because with still photos, it's easy to pull open a still photo, and within 30 or 40 seconds, I can apply the lens profile correction, I can adjust the saturation, I can adjust the exposure and make a still photo look great. And maybe that's something I'll explore in 2018 is going in and taking the the video to the next level and using those LUTs and seeing what all can be done. Curiously enough, I was looking at a thing called I think it was called is it Atomos or Atmos Ninja? You know, the little boxes that you can record. I'm probably using the terminology. I'm probably saying the wrong thing here, but the Ninja, the Atomos or whatever. I don't know if you've ever used one of those. It functions as an external viewfinder for the camera, but it also records to that device instead of to the camera. Fruitful Woman Pox says, Happy New Year, IrixGuy, and to all the other tubers. Happy New Year to you too. Thanks for tuning in. It's amazing we've got so many people on a New Year's Eve that they're tuning into this, because there's a lot of options. I mean, if you flick on a traditional television right now, you're probably going to find a ton of New Year's Eve shows, New Year's Eve live broadcasts. But it's a real pleasure that all of y'all are you decided to tune into this for New Year's Eve. That's pretty cool, because there's a lot of stuff to choose from. Yeah, video editing. It's what's your speaking of that, Greg? Which feature or features have you found in the latest version of Final Cut Pro 10 that you really like? you know, not necessarily the 360-degree spherical features, but is there anything else that you've really enjoyed? I'll go ahead and share one of mine. I like how they've added the color correction option. You know, when you go up to the top right now, where you had audio and you had video and all that, it's kind of in the middle. I guess it would be called the inspector area. Yeah, the color grading. There you go, Greg. That's what I was looking for, man. I think the color grading. So is it the new version of Final Cut Pro 10 that got you into wanting to color grade, or is that something you've always done with video? Always done. Very cool. Did you happen to use a program like Blackmagic? Let's see, what's it called? Blackmagic DaVinci. Have you ever used that? DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve. I've got it installed right now, but I've never taken the time to use it. But I know it's a program that that a lot of people that like to color grade, they said it's among the best products out there. So now how it'll stack up to the color grading in Final Cut Pro 10, I don't know. I think it may be, and again, I've installed it, but I haven't really poked around that much. I think it may be a lot more complicated, whereas you know, the color grading in Final Cut Pro 10 is pretty much slide here, slide there, and you can get the look that you want for the video. Yeah, I'm the same, man. Actually I didn't adopt Final Cut Pro until Final Cut Pro 10, and I know there are a lot of people when Apple made the leap from Final Cut Pro to Final Cut Pro 10. A lot of the professional users they disliked what Final Cut Pro 10 was bringing to the table, but I looked at it from the other perspective because it provided me with the opportunity to learn video editing in a simplistic fashion. Now, it's I don't know. I think it's a really cool tool. Yeah, 7 to 10 was a huge change. I mean, pretty much now with Final Cut Pro 10, you can do almost anything drag and drop. So it's eliminated a lot of the learning curve that used to exist with the original versions of Final Cut Pro. I haven't checked out the white balance feature, and that's something I need to do because I've used the as bad as it sounds, I use auto white balance on my cameras. So that's something I need to learn more about. I know right now, like my camera, I toned down one of my lights up there, but I think, does this look overexposed, this live show? Good. Yeah, I toned down. I ran a test live show earlier today, and then I toned down the key light. Then was too bright, and I turned it down a little bit. What's actually really cool, I put the two green screen lights and the key light. I've got everything running through Amazon Alexa, so I'm not going to say it right now. But if I say the voice command, I can turn all these green screen lights on. And then if I say the voice command to turn it off, Greg, that's running through Wirecast, man. I filmed that, so that's a video clip that I filmed, and I'm actually, well, I don't want to spoil the fun for everybody else, but if y'all didn't guess, I'm sitting in front of a green screen right now, so. I'll show y'all something cool here. Check this out. Not to spoil the fun, but see this. not to spoil the fun, but see, this is where I actually am right now. See, I'm in the green screen, and you can see this was a work. This was a lot of work right here to get this like it is. Happy New Year, Drone Beetle. But see, you can see here, I've minimized the shadows. If you look when I hold my hands up, when I move them around, you just see solid green in the back. So the lighting was crucial. Now see, when I go back in, and now I turn my chroma key back on, when I turn my chroma key back on, that's how I could get a convincing effect, is because of the lighting and how I've positioned all of this to where I've eliminated any shadows on the green screen. If you don't have shadows on the green screen and you're the appropriate distance from the green screen with good lighting, you can get pretty convincing results. But yeah, that background clip is just something I filmed in New York. So it's I activated Greenock's Amazon device. Very cool. But yeah, this is all, so I'm using Wirecast, and it was, it cost a few $100, but I'm going to put together a very thorough tutorial on how I use Wirecast. But to summarize, basically what I'll do, I'll set up the live event within the YouTube live streaming. If you logged into YouTube, go to live streaming and stream now, or select event. It's going to set up the event. But then when I actually go live, what I do, I go into Wirecast and I authenticate with YouTube, and it's Wirecast. Big Plains, welcome aboard, man. Happy New Year. So it's Wirecast. It's actually sending my video and my audio to YouTube. And what's cool about Wirecast, you can have multiple video sources. If I was using multiple cameras, I could switch among the cameras now, and that's something I want to do in the studio here in the near future. But right now I've just got this one camera, but I've got instead of audio from the camera, I'm using a rather high quality USB microphone. So you can do a lot with this program, and again, like Final Cut Pro 10, the Wirecast program has evolved. It's become a lot more user-friendly. Now, for the live chroma key like you're seeing now, it's quite CPU intensive. So I'm actually running this through an iMac with Retina 5K display with it's 4 gigahertz, and it's got 32 gigs of RAM. So it's a somewhat beefy system configuration to do this live chroma key. If you try to do live chroma key on a laptop, such as my 2017 MacBook Pro, it'll work, but you can really hear that fan in the laptop just blowing really hard, and it takes a lot of processing power to chroma key like this in real time. So I'm impressed that it works like it does now. But yeah, we're couldn't be in a better place for New Year's Eve. And it's going to be crazy to see that ball drop. I think in my video they may have forgotten. See, if you look back there, I think they may have forgotten to put the ball up. I don't see it, so I guess somebody's going to get chewed out for that. They forgot to put the ball. But it's yeah. If y'all ever been to Times Square, it's a pretty fascinating place. Just always a ton of people just looking around. You got all these signs glowing everywhere. Yeah, Sean Connery said he is ready for 2018. He said he's got. It's amazing how many, just from a channel like this, it's amazing how many business opportunities Sean Connery, the big Maine Coon cat, has had. And that's amazing when you live with a cat that's as famous as he is, and his fame is based upon his presence on YouTube. So YouTube is a powerful tool. A lot of people look at YouTube and they laugh at it, and man, what's the purpose of being involved with YouTube? And what people don't realize is that it's your own. You control your own miniature. I don't want to call it a television network, because a television network's a thing of the past. I mean, we still probably subscribe to cable and or or satellite or whatever type provider, but I still firmly believe that internet video is the future, and that we're going to start to see traditional television and such become phased out. I just hate that I have to use traditional television, that I have to subscribe to traditional television to get a good deal on my internet and my wireless. Fruitful Woman Pox says, my Burmese cat Sabrina wants to wish Sean Connery a Happy New Year. Sean Connery says, Happy New Year, Sabrina. He says, I hope you have a... What was that? He said, I wish Sabrina a perfectly excellent New Year. Did you see the movie It? Was that the Pennywise movie with the clown that ran around? Was it a Stephen King movie? Yeah, that was... Yeah, that was a creepy movie. I remember that. It was hard to sleep after watching that, actually. So yeah, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. Well, it's about 9:30 p.m. New York City time. So we got, let's see, 10:30, 11:30, 2.5 hours until the ball drops. 2.5 hours. Greg says, I was planning on watching that tonight. Yeah, that's a good New Year's Eve, movie. Speaking of that, and I feel really stupid about this, there was some sort of adventure movie I saw the previews for, and I may actually watch it tonight. It was about mountain climbers, and I've got to get on my Amazon and see if I can find it. But Big Plane said, "Did you get the Phantom 4 Pro? I've not been able to find many vids from you. Am I missing something?" Yeah, actually, I did. I had the Phantom 4 Pro, and it was actually bad, and maybe they've corrected it. But my first Phantom 4 Pro, intermittently, even though I had a more than fast enough micro SD card in the camera, when I was recording in 4K 60, intermittently it's like the video would stutter like that. And you can check out my videos that I posted where I demonstrated what it was doing, and that was enough to make it, unusable for me because, obviously I'm not filming anything ultra high end with my drones, but I am filming content for my viewers, and, the lack of reliability made it Whoa! Sorry, I was summoned. Yeah, Greg said fire alarm, yup. Hey, you always got to take it seriously, So yeah, the first Phantom 4 Pro I sent back, and then I got another one thinking it was a bad unit, and I unfortunately had the same problem. So, you know, even with firmware update, it would still do that. And I tried a different micro SD card as well. Again, the problem was intermittent, and it was only in 4K 60. So yeah, I did. That's another video. I had one that had a bad RC with it. So for that reason, my favorite drone today is still the Phantom 4. Not the Phantom 4 Pro, but the Phantom 4. And I know with Phantom 4 Pro that you know, you obviously get 4K 60. With the Phantom 4, you don't. Sean Connery's around 8 years old now. He's getting old, but he was born with gray fur. So, hey, Sean Connery, come back to the studio. Yeah, so it's I don't know. Phantom 4 is still my favorite drone. Again, 2018, we've got to have something new, because this is this is just crazy that we're still waiting on the next thing from DJI. So I don't know. I don't know what else is really exciting. I think I've got to work on some video edits, get some more videos up. Frugal says, I am still happy with my Phantom 4, even though I have a Mavic Pro. I crashed a Mavic Pro on its maiden flight on Christmas Day. I should get it back from DJI in the near future. Very cool. Hey, that happens, you know. And the thing about drones, it's like I've said since day one. You know, you get one up in the air. I mean, it can do whatever. I mean, obviously, flying in a safe and responsible location, it could only harm the drone itself. But it's annoying when they crash. Well, hopefully here in the next, let's be optimistic, let's say in the next few weeks, hopefully we'll have a new drone here in the studio. Because, you know, being unable to go out, and that's the thing, there hasn't even been a competitor that's come up and said, hey, we've got something worthy of trying. I haven't seen anything. The last thing I tried from a competitor was the Typhoon H and then the GoPro Karma. And I wasn't impressed with either of those. So, again, Alltel Robotics. Where's that thing they were showing off at CES? Was that just all smoke and mirrors? If it wasn't, I'd love to get my hands on one and take it out in the field, but I don't know. I'm going to show y'all something cool here in a second. Check this out. Get back to the thing. So what? Let's see. Frugal says, I got the Phantom 4 April 2016 and it was just released. So I'm hoping DJI will release a Phantom 5 or Mavic Pro 2 around then. January, February, March, April. Yeah, and 4 times 3 is 12. So that would be the end of the first quarter of 2018. So that would, hey, I'm all with you on that. Hopefully they'll release it sooner, but if it was in April, I mean, that would be acceptable. You know, we'd at least only have to enjoy the current tech that we have for a few more months until that comes out. From one perspective, it's kind of cool they've waited, because I know a lot of people, anytime a new drone comes out, you just got to rush out and get it. So So at least we haven't had to have anything that's kind of semi-cool. Hopefully it's going to be really cool when it comes out. Yeah, the Phantom 5. I don't know if I'm more excited about the Phantom 5 or the Mavic Pro 2. If they execute well with Mavic Pro 2, the smaller travel size and the smaller travel weight, I think that'll be really awesome. Keybos 18. My Phantom 3 4K controller only has a micro USB cable and not USB. Most videos I've seen all have a USB port. Okay, keep in mind with Phantom 3 4K, so there's Phantom 3 4K and then there's Phantom 3 Pro, which also does 4K. It's confusing the way they marketed that, but the controller on a Phantom 3 4K is different than the controller on a Phantom 3 Pro. So, you know, that's the reason you're seeing something that looks different there with your cables. And to my knowledge, they both have the same camera. It's just different communications technology. Obviously, Phantom 3 Pro is using Lightbridge. Yeah, Big Plains GoPro was close, but they did fail. Now, circling back to GoPro, if they had released the GoPro Karma, but the GoPro Karma didn't encounter the potentially catastrophic issue that would cause it to fall to the ground, then they could have performed quite well. Also, had DJI not immediately released the Mavic Pro, I think they would have been better positioned to compete. But I mean, given the recall and then the fact that the Mavic Pro was smaller and better, it didn't have the fisheye that the GoPro brings to it. Kibo says, will this affect distance and lag on my display as I'm getting loss of signal a lot? Sorry, I'm new to drones. Hey man, new to drones, that's the way to be, because being new to drones, that's the most exciting time with playing with drones. So to put it in plain English, you've got Phantom 3 4K, which is a Phantom 3 that has a 4K camera. You've got Phantom 3 Pro, which also has a 4K camera, but the two drones, the Phantom 3 4K and the Phantom 3 Pro, use different communications technology. The Phantom 3 Pro uses something called Lightbridge. So as far as your FPV, your real-time view of what the drone sees while you're flying, the Phantom 3 Pro is probably going to provide a more reliable viewing experience. It's probably not going to have as many intermittent loss of connection while you're viewing the FPV. I mean, ultimately, to be safe and responsible, you always need to maintain line of sight with that drone while it's flying. But with that being said, the Lightbridge is, from my experience, a lot more reliable communications technology than the Wi-Fi like the Phantom 3 4K uses. And I used before I got the Phantom 3 Pro, I've used, which is very old now, I used the Phantom 3 or the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, which used Wi-Fi, and it was great, and it had great range. If I wasn't careful, it would have been easy to have exceeded line of sight. I mean, it was that amazing of range. But even like I do, flying line of sight all the time, the experience with Lightbridge versus Wi-Fi, Lightbridge is a lot more reliable, just from my experience. Now, Frugal says, like I told you on an earlier show, I would love to see the next Phantom to be just larger Mavic, folding camera, forward, battery top, and rear mounted design with nicer camera than the Phantom 4 Pro. Frugal says the Phantom 5 should be just larger to accommodate the larger camera and to be more stable in high winds. Stability in high winds, that's a huge point. It'll be a great bird and would be a solid prosumer offering. I agree. Keybos 18, no problem, man. Feel free to check out my blog too if you haven't. You go to 400orbelow.com or you go to IrixGuy.com. You can find a ton of blog posts. I posted a ton of Phantom 3 blog posts, troubleshooting tutorials, etc. And feel free to follow me on social media: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. because I'll frequently share tips and troubleshooting stuff as it's encountered. But yeah, hey, there's Sean Connery coming back. Hey, welcome back. Coming back to the live show. Yep. He said he is coming back. Come up here. Come up here. Go back on the camera. Ugh. There is Sean Connery. He is back. Back in the studio. He said, I am big. Enormous. Yep, so that's... So the Phantom 3 SE, the standard edition. And, okay, so there's Phantom 3 standard edition, which I think, and I may be wrong, I think it may have used to have topped out at 1080p, but it may top out at 2.7K now, I'm not sure. So, with Phantom 3, there was Phantom 3 Advanced, which when it was released, the camera topped out at 1080p, but then a firmware update made the Phantom 3 Advanced top out at 2.7K. And there was Phantom 3 Pro, which was 4K. And then they came out with Phantom 3 Standard, which, and you know, check the specs and correct me if I'm wrong, but it either tops out at 1080p or 2.7K. And then they've got the Phantom 3 4K, like you have, that tops out at 4K. So both the Standard and the 4K are Wi-Fi. Both the Advanced and the Pro are Lightbridge. SoCal Seth, welcome aboard. Oh, so the Standard is not the SE. I don't know. Can y'all enlighten me? Now I'm getting confused. They're coming out with so many different versions here. Frugal's cat Sabrina weighs 6 pounds. How much does Sean Connery weigh? Kibos 18. Happy New Year. Sean Connery weighs 25 pounds, so he's quite a big cat. SoCal says, hey IrixGuy, do you carry on or check your drone when you travel? Okay, and I'll tell you what I've done, and this was a while back, obviously, you know, throwing my disclaimer out. You know, check with your airline, check with your destination and your where you're departing from and where you're arriving. You know, check with all the locations and check current policy. But what I've done is I've always carried, and you can find the case on my website, IrixGuy.com, that really nice, ruggedized, hard case that I've used to fly with my Phantom 2, actually my Phantom 1 all the way through Phantom 4. So what I would do, I would put in that case my drone and my controller and my accessories, everything except for my batteries. My drone batteries I would carry on in my carry-on bag. And that's, again, you know, check with the airline, see what they say. But I know at least at that point in time that the batteries were not allowed to be checked below the plane, but I could check the drone below the plane. And that worked well for me because once I reached my final destination, what I was able to do is then put all my drone batteries, including the drone and all the drone accessories, in that waterproof and ruggedized case. So whether I'm swimming or, you know, maybe caught out in a rainstorm or whatever, I've got my drone and all the batteries well protected. But, you know, to and from, I'm checking the drone and the drone accessories below the plane, just not the batteries. The setup says Happy New Year. Happy New Year, the setup. Welcome aboard. Well, and, you know, keep in mind with this, if you only carry on, you know, depending upon how much, if you're taking a Phantom, I mean, unless you're packing ultralight, it's going to be a challenge to, you know, to fit all that stuff into a carry-on. And I do have another story, and this wasn't personal experience, but a friend of mine was going somewhere, and he had his drone in his check zone, and not his final destination, but an airport in between. In the airport terminal, he was actually approached by security, and they were asking why he had a drone. Obviously, he wasn't flying it or flaunting it or anything, but they knew he had a drone in his carry-on, and he was, I guess you would say, harassed about that. They didn't take it from him, but it was weird. So, to avoid any sort of unexpected potential issues, I don't know. Use your own judgment. I'll tell you, I was coming back from overseas, and I had the drone batteries in my carry-on, like I had mentioned. I guess because I had a lot of other stuff in the carry-on. If you push the button on a Phantom battery, it'll light up, show you the battery status. And I went through customs, and they're like, "Hey, man, what's that glowing in your bag?" And I'm like, and they could tell I didn't know. And so they opened the bag, and it was a drone battery, and the button had been pushed. So it had freaked them out. Kibo says, before I go, I have one more question. You mentioned there's a Pro and a 4K, so which drone do I select in the DJI Go app? Well, if you've got the Phantom 3 4K, I would select the 4K. Got Sean Connery fur. He came in here and got fur everywhere. That's the thing, big cat, big fur. You got to brush him all the time, but he still sheds. Well, I could tell you what it's probably not. It's not the Advanced or the Pro. I would say it may be Standard, but because the Standard and the 4K, they're both using Wi-Fi. So out of those four options you gave, I'd probably try Standard. But then again, that's strange they didn't list 4K as option. I know it's not Pro or Advanced. Frugal says, I flew this last February and carried it on in a styrofoam case inside a thin cotton bag. I was surprised TSA just scanned it and never even had me open. Yeah, there's been times they didn't make me open it either, and there's been times I've been pulled apart. It's been pulled apart, which, I don't care either way. It is what it is. It's a drone and drone batteries, but it's just interesting. I don't know. I think part of it may be kind of random. I don't know. I'm going to research this. Let me see. Phantom 3 SE. Let's see. Phantom 3 SE. You know what, man? I bet you're right. Phantom 3 SE, looking at the page, it says it has 4K camera. Maybe what they did, maybe they rebranded it, because originally it was called Phantom 3 4K, and maybe that was creating confusion. So yeah, I would try the SE option, see if that works for you, man. I've never had a whistling power brick. Have you? Yeah, I would try SE. I have not. I'll have to check that out. What's on that Instagram page? No problem, man. I hope that works out for you. Hey, man, thanks for the sub and the likes. Hey, and share with others, too, if you don't mind. Tell them to tune in, and because I'm trying to get, my goal for 2018 is to get through 100,000 subscribers. Oh, his travel photos. I bet he travels a lot. I'm gonna add him right here on my phone. You just search for Tom MySpace. Let me see. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I'm just checking it out. I'm checking out his page right now. You know, I think if I had MySpace and retired, that's what I do too. Is just go out and travel and relax. That is pretty cool. But that's pretty cool too, thinking that, you know, that someone is like, yeah, I created MySpace. So remember when MySpace was bigger than Facebook, and then Facebook just ran away with it. Well, you know, Kibo's one thing about YouTube is that whether you're good at something or not, you can still have a channel. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, but it's still fun making a video of whatever. That's the way I look at it. You know, if you don't get out, if you want to YouTube, don't worry about whether you're good at something or not. Just do it. And if you show improvement within your videos, and that's something that may help with the increase of your viewership. Yeah, it's definitely not easy to grow, that's for sure. I'm going to sub your channel right now, man. Let's see. There you go, man. There's 30 subscribers. Just takes time and commitment. But it is challenging to grow. But, you know, if you find certain content that people really like, you'll just, you know, learn and experiment. That's my best advice. Zachary says, Happy New Year. I'm from the United Kingdom. We're already 2018. Oh, cheers. Happy New Year. One thing I forgot to get is eggnog. I don't like eggnog with booze in it, but I like just the straight up eggnog, just the, you know, nothing in it with nutmeg on it. And I'm tempted to go see if I can get, but, you know, New Year's Eve's not a safe night. I mean, even not going out and partying or whatever, it's not a safe night to get out and about because you got so many drunks out. You know, and even though you're sober, if you go out and try to get eggnog or something, you may get run over, so it's not worth it, in my opinion. But I really wish I had some eggnog. That'd be great. Frugal says, also my first Mavic Pro flight, I had the low noise props. All four were damaged, so I have to get another set. I'd planned to do all my own testing between them and the stock. Interesting. SoCal Seth says, eggnog with booze is like drunken pancake batter. That's interesting. That's a good way to put it. Ooh, that's not good. Frugal says, too bad the crash kept me from testing them. Also, I'm hoping DJI will release low-noise Phantom props. Yeah, it's interesting they haven't released those for the Phantom. Now, I wonder if it's because it's a larger drone. That's strange. Interesting observation. Well, we're about an hour in. It is about 10 p.m. New York City time. Got a couple more hours here on the East Coast for for that ball to drop. So, with that being said, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Not just tuning in, but being very loyal viewers and subscribers throughout 2017. And again, 2018 is a brand new year. 2018 is going to bring brand new content. And Frugal says, let's see, my wife and I like those cheddar cheese sausage franks you grilled. Oh, yeah, you remember that video. Yeah, those things are good, man. Good on the hot dog bun, or good just, you know, sometimes I would take those and, you know, not put them on the hot dog bun. I just chop them up and, you know, and save a couple and eat them for breakfast. That was good, too. Put some mustard on them. Melt some cheese on them if you're really feeling cool. Big Plane says, it seems to me that if DJI was going to release something, they would have done it before the holidays. I agree. It would have sold better. Yeah, no doubt. You know, when they didn't release by November, I knew that I had a pretty solid feeling that we were not going to see a new DJI drone in 2017 because. But then again, you know what they did by offering new color of Phantom and Mavic was, you know, they prolonged the shelf life of their existing tech. So, you know, hopefully they haven't gotten lazy. Hopefully they've been very, they've been innovating a lot behind the scenes with this, you know, given the acquisition of Hasselblad. Hopefully they're going to bring us something rock solid. Yeah, exactly, Fruple. There is no competition. I mean, we've seen other drone brands come up, but what are those brands today? I mean, seriously, if you're not going to buy a Phantom, if you're looking for a serious drone with a camera, what are you going to look at other than DJI? Yeah, SoCal Seth made a good point. Yeah, I used to be a gamer too, man, playing video games. It's funny. What's really funny is that computer gaming is pretty much non-existent today. That was what was big when I was playing games, and then we saw the consoles, and like you were saying, they were, you know, coming out with one right after the other. But now we're seeing, you know, even with the consoles, we're seeing incremental updates. It's crazy. Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I'm not going to stay here in Times Square until the ball drops and get out of here before it gets too crowded. But you know, stay tuned for in 2018 and beyond, because we're going to have a ton of cool content. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share with others. Tell everyone you know. If you're going out to a New Year's Eve party tonight, be safe, and tell everyone that you know to subscribe to IrixGuy's Adventure Channel. That's youtube.com/IrixGuy. Y'all have a happy New Year. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.